I think the original Dracula and the original Horror of Dracula are two of my favorite. Oh, and the Phantom of the Opera, the silent Phantom of the Opera is just.
Me too. When it happens, run.
So I'm Tyler Nichols with JoBlo.com, and thank you so much for talking with me today. I grew up on Frasier, and I was so happy to see you pop back up in the Wet Hot American Summer TV show a few years back. So this is an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Tyler. It's good to talk to you.
So I really enjoyed your role in The Exorcism. You got to play both ends of the good and evil spectrum. Do you prefer getting to portray the more sweet human moments or the more evil demonic ones?
I'm evil and demonic in my real life, so it's nice to change and be just kind of sweet on screen. No, what I love is the variety. It's a really good question. You don't always get to go to such extremes in one picture, but in general, just like going from job to job, even it's like I love to have a different thing to do. It fuels my creativity.
Well, and how much would you say that the like the makeup helps lend to the performance? Because I know people always say that really helps them get into the role.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the main makeup that I had was old age makeup, and that was great. And was it? Eric Horn was one of the makeup artists. They were really fine, and it took a long time, but it was worth it. Adrian Moreau, I think, designed it. And yeah, it just helps you feel different, I guess, is what I would say.
And is there a specific film or role that you pull from when you really get to lean into your evil side?
Well, I grew up loving horror movies. So, I mean, I watched all the classic. I wasn't alive when they were first made, but like the Universal Dracula and Frankenstein and the Wolfman and all the Hammer films with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, stuff like that. I loved that stuff. So it's all in there. And then whatever has happened since. I don't watch. I watched The Exorcist as research for this. I'd probably seen it on TV when I was younger, but I think I just sort of channeled all those things. Let them.
Obviously, I'm also a big horror movie fan, so I have to ask you, what are some of your favorite horror movies?
Well, like I said, my favorite horror movie. So I said this to someone else because I have only seen it recently. It was a couple of years ago, I think now. Renfield, the Nick Cage Renfield.
Yeah,
loved that movie so much that as a movie, all the characters, all the actors, the storytelling, I just thought it was fantastic. But part of my enjoyment of it is my deep sort of dive into all the actual horror movies that it draws from. So I think the original Dracula and the original Horror of Dracula are two of my favorite. Oh, and the Phantom of the Opera, the silent Phantom of the Opera is just. When she
very good choices.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, and I was so happy to see you return to the horror genre, as I've always really enjoyed The Perfect Host, and think your performance in it is just spectacular. Do you have any interest in doing more horror?
Well, not specifically. It's always about the parts and about the people I'm working with and the script. So would I do it again? Sure. Although I have a funny sense that this was a couple years ago, I think, that we did this, and the world is so dark right now in so many ways that I don't know that this is maybe somewhere where I would want to go right now. I think the world is scary enough as it is, but I would do another horror movie if the part were right and I thought, ooh, I could really sink my teeth into it, so to speak.
Well, hopefully some horror producers are thinking the same thing, because I would love to see you back in the genre for some more. So thank you so much for talking with me today. This has been wonderful.
Great. Set, action.
Lord have mercy.
You play the director here, and you get to give Russell Crowe's character acting advice. So can you talk about what it was like to berate a film legend about his acting?
I mean, the irony is it's easy because Russell is such a great actor that there's, once you're, doing a scene with him, you believe him, wholeheartedly. I mean, I remember this with Beautiful Mind, and we were pals when we were making that film. I mean, we became pals making that film, and we all of us, the whole cast, we hung out a lot, and during the making of this film, he and I hung out a bunch. And so, but he's able to turn things off and on, with the flip of a switch. And I would, to a certain degree, I do as well. So as soon as we were in those scenes, it was just, this asshole that I was channeling, and this crumbling, sort of shadow of a man that Russell was portraying. And he does it with such conviction. You don't have to work that hard in order to sort of feed on him.
Well, and your character is someone that I was waiting the entire movie to get their comeuppance, and it doesn't happen. So is there a deleted scene that I missed?
Yeah.
Oh, there is. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't know. I wasn't given any instructions. So there was a scene that wasn't shot, and then another scene in its place, and so neither of them made it.
Oh, well,
but yeah, it is unusual that guy is, yeah.
Well, and if you could kill off that character, how would you personally do it?
You kill that guy off, it's not complete, because he is, certainly as scripted, he is, while not the devil himself, is certainly he's his, his chauffeur, right?
Well, and I have to ask as well, the Exorcism deals with decidedly supernatural things happening on the set of a new horror movie. So did you have any weird, unexplained things happen on this set when filming?
No, no, but there was, in fact, the scene that we're in question, or the scene that that we did shoot in the place of the scene that was scripted, that I believe is not in this film, in this cut, was shot on the stage. As I understood it, where Brandon Lee was killed, making the Crow, and I remember, while I like to think of myself as someone who doesn't believe in any of this sort of thing, I was really uneasy about that. That just, was sort of chilling. I mean, it was chilling back then. I was shooting, well, I believe the same summer that happened, I was shooting The Prophecy, and all kinds of shit was going on when we were making The Prophecy. And I end up getting shot in the head at the end of that film. And my character, that's, the end of my character in that film. And I remember then feeling really sort of haunted by what had happened to Brandon Lee. And so here we are so many years later, and, sort of still feeling haunted by that, terrible incident.
When you accept a role like this, is that a thought that goes into your head of like, this production could have bad vibes, or it's like, are you just looking? No.
Oh no. In fact, I mean, I didn't really view it as a horror film. I mean, clearly it's the vehicle for the sort of, for the metaphor, or it is the metaphor for the, sort of the unraveling and the, the inner demons that, Russell's character possesses. But, I really saw it as a sort of deeply psychological film, where you have this kind of, horror vehicle, to help kind of drive it.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. That's all I have for you. And I absolutely love your background. That is incredible. Love all the studio stuff.
Yeah, well, so it's all real.
All kinds of messed up stuff happened when they were making movies like The Omen or The Exorcist.
First of all, The Exorcism deals with decidedly supernatural things happening on the set of a new horror movie. So I have to ask, did you have any weird, unexplained happenings occur on set while filming?
As you know, well, as you don't know, I stayed at like this apartment in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I was just feeling really weird in there. And come to find out, it was an old funeral home.
Did you complain to the producers about putting you up there?
I actually really liked the spot. It was super cute. And they had a sign right on the building. And, I guess it was really me who didn't read the fine print.
So are you a horror movie fan at all?
No.
No?
I am the type of person who doesn't go see horror films. I get scared at the haunted houses. So this was truly a push for me and a fun one. It was really fun on set. Like, I wasn't scared. I
Yeah.
like the first day I was shaking because like I go into the makeup trailer and you see the fake blood and they were creating the scary faces and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, can I do it? Can I do it? And I did it.
Yeah. Well, and you portray what is essentially the Linda Blair role from The Exorcist in this film within a film, and you get to get all the possession makeup. And I know the actors can have a bit of a love-hate relationship with prosthetics. What was that experience like?
The prosthetics were super dope. When they had to make me over, to put the scars and the scratches and kind of make me look like I was possessed, I was like, whew, I was freaking out a little bit. And I couldn't really look at myself in the mirror because I was scaring myself, but I made sure to get some funny selfies, and I was, making a joke out of it in between the scenes. And, once they yelled action, I just took myself out of it and my fears and, just tried to do it justice.
So have you seen the movie yet?
I have seen scenes, and even during ADR, I asked them to turn off the screen because I was just getting scared.
Yeah.
When we do the showing here in Los Angeles, I will definitely be clutching my pearls.
Yeah. Well, I know Jamie Lee Curtis is the same way, so you're in good company.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah. Well, and so there's a great moment in the film where you're like in between takes and comforting Russell Crowe's character because he's struggling with his lines, and the juxtaposition between the evil makeup that you're wearing and your demeanor, it's just like chef's kiss. So what was it like?
I was laughing. We were all laughing so hard during that scene. And in between takes, Russell was like, "You good? You good?" I was like, "I'm great. I'm great."
Was that difficult because you're having to, because not many actors get to play a demon but still have the freedom of acting normally? How was that?
It was not difficult. It was actually easier than I thought it would be. I just kind of, when it comes to the body movements and everything, I just kind of tapped into my dancer side. And, when I'm acting, I don't want to be Chloe Bailey. I'm the character in that moment. So it's easy to kind of let go. And then right when they yell, cut, and I go home, I'm like, I say my prayers. I'm like, God protect me. And then I'm good.
You and Ryan Simpkins have a great dynamic in this. Your characters clearly have history. And did you guys know each other prior to filming?
We did not. We had maybe a week and a half of rehearsals before, and we clicked like that. It was my first time ever kissing another woman, and she made me really comfortable, and we were just having the time of our lives. We spent Halloween together, and we were staying in like this college town, and it was fun just dancing in the rain and just really feeling that college experience that I have missed out on. So I'm happy that we bonded the way we did during filming.
When I also want to ask too, what I always call it, the dollhouse set, where it's just the house split in half. What was it like working on that, like in that? Because I feel like it can be a very jarring, the fact that the set that you're on is also the set of the film within a film. I feel like that can be very mess with your head.
Yes, it did mess with my head because there would be the cast chairs, our actual cast chairs, and then there would be the film within the film cast chairs that were props as we were filming. So it's like a couple things you would like get mixed up, or you'd see the crafty table, but it was the prop. It wasn't the actual crafty table,
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. This has been wonderful.
Tony, it's okay. You're okay, all right?
All right, so I'm Tyler Nichols with JoBlo.com, and thank you so much for talking with me today. First of all, your performance in this movie just absolutely blew me away. I live with multiple addicts in my life, and you just absolutely nailed the pain and frustration of it all. And I was just curious as to how did you get into yourself into such a real place emotionally for this?
Thank you so much. It was something that I was able to relate to as well, which is part of what drew me to it. This complicated parental relationship and also, having experienced, people close to me struggle with addiction. It was something familiar. And just that desperation, that want for, someone to be there for you, to be good for you, that you will give so much of yourself to them. It was really tragic. But I was really drawn to that tragedy that existed in the character.
Yeah, there's a moment where you see that like Tony is what you think is relapsing, and there's a look in your eye that it hit me deep. So just wanted to
Thank
make sure that
you.
you were aware of how much like your performance just absolutely nailed it.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
and I have to ask you too, because you've done so many in your career. Do you consider yourself a horror movie fan?
Yeah, super. I love horror. I wrote my thesis in college about horror films. I actually haven't always been a huge fan. It wasn't until I was probably like 19 that I got into them. But I just think it's such a great genre, and it's got such a great opportunity to represent the underrepresented. There are always these monsters that are really representing something else, and there's always a story within the story that I think is really exciting. It's also such an innovative genre. I love watching horror movies. I love it.
What are some of your favorite horror movies?
There's so many good ones. Recently I saw the TV Glow, which isn't so much a horror, but more of a movie about horror. Um, but I absolutely adored that film. I think it's so stunning. I also really love The Host, the Bong Joon-ho movie, which is more of like a horror comedy, but that's a really special genre in itself. Like American Werewolf in London is so good. Barbarian's another one. Jennifer's Body. I love horror. I could talk about it like forever.
The Exorcism deals with decidedly supernatural things happening on the set of a new horror movie. So obviously I have to ask, did you guys have any weird, unexplained happenings like on set during filming?
There's one little thing that wasn't so much scary as much as it was sweet. Josh's mother died a little while before they wrote the script. And so that was very present with us in that obviously my character is dealing with her own grief. But also, we wanted to honor that and respect that. And there's one scene between me and Russell where we were talking about it, and during one take I said something like my mom, and a piece of art decoration just like fell off the wall like that. Um, and we all sort of clocked it and felt that, but it didn't feel like, like it was attacking or anything. It felt just like a presence, like a sweetness, almost like a guiding us. And yeah, I don't know, that was a spirit. It was like a hope that we wanted to exist within the movie.
Well, and I have to ask you too, what was it like with working with such a legend in Russell Crowe?
Russell's great. I mean, he's a really loyal person. He's fiercely loyal, and he's really generous as well. He operates like a machine. Within the movie, he just wants to make the best movie possible. We're both like, we love film, we love making film, we love being a part of it. And so we both just wanted to operate that way. And we've actually known each other for a really long time. So we were able to bring a really natural chemistry. We're both Aries, so we're both really headstrong and really passionate. And so that chemistry played into it too. But I always felt like he was looking out for me and wanting me to do the best I could in making sure that the movie, like we were serving the movie, but he also wanted the movie to serve me in the way, it was capturing me, which I really appreciate.
I have to ask if you had any say in the concert t-shirts that you wore during the film.
I didn't, but the wardrobe was so cool in that movie. A lot of it was like indie sleaze inspired. A lot of it was like Josh and Mark's like personal vibe, which I really loved. I wore a lot of really sick clothes in that movie.
I have to ask first, this is such a unique slant on possession, and I got so excited when I first saw the trailer. What made you want to tell this specific story?
Oh gosh, there's so many answers. I would say I definitely was always dealing with a really complicated relationship with my dad that was fraught with a lot of addiction and alcoholism. And I've always felt like that was deeply rooted in his Catholic upbringing, as well as the looming shadow of the Exorcist movie and how it sort of haunted him his whole life as something like he embraced, but also could never quite escape. And I was also sort of interested in a lot of the mythology that was related to that movie and the making of the movie, because I think in certain ways we could relate to, while that movie, quote unquote cursed, I think we had our own cursed experiences in making movies that were more of the human making and like demonic people in Hollywood. So it just sort of like made sense of like, let's just take all of these elements and do something kind of meta and fun as sort of a sort of a thread to carry on from the final girls.
Yeah.
When you really toe the line with not explicitly saying the Exorcist name, was there any attempt to include that, or was it always in the plan to just deliberately avoid that?
I think you want to avoid it because it wasn't specifically about that movie. You know, it was sort of more of a layer. You know, it could be almost about any kind of curse, larger than life, a classic, whether it be Poltergeist, The Omen, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think we were more interested in, I think that would set up unrealistic expectations. I mean, for us, if the movie was lampooning or, you know, sort of touching on any kind of exorcism movie tropes, it was about the tropes that have developed since that masterpiece, you know, and those were the kinds of tropes that we were looking to subvert. And you know, and sort of, I mean, we drag ourselves in the movie, right, when Adam is like, you know, it's a psychological drama, whatever, I forget the line, you know, wrapped in a horror movie or whatever.
It's
and
like,
like,
horror movie.
yes, exactly. And you know, it's for us, we, you know, like with Final Girls, I think the thing that first and foremost was the most important was the relationship between Ryan and Russell, and that being the real House of Horrors, you know, the real kind of, oh, this is where like the real nasty, ugly, uncomfortable shit is. And you know, that's going to work for some viewers, and for others they're going to be like, you know, I don't know, but you know, different things scare different people, and you know, family scares.
Yeah. Rarely do we actually see exorcism films deal with like the sexual abuse present in the clergy. So why was it so important for you guys to include that angle?
I mean, for myself, I'm not gonna lie, like I definitely have experienced some traumatic issues in that area as a person in my own personal life, and I definitely think that that was like part of, which I didn't actually, to be quite honest, wasn't really looking at that much as a human being in my life. I've looked at it sporadically at moments in my life, but then, you know, as I was starting to make the movie, and then even in post-production, you start to go, oh shit, this really has affected my life. Oh man, this is really a big part of things I need to work through. So that was sort of an unexpected sort of like, I wouldn't say re-traumatizing myself, but I think there was definitely like aspects of having to look at those things. And I think sometimes you make something and you don't know why you're making it until like it's over and you're like, oh, holy shit. That's why I was drawn to that. And I'm sure 10 years from now, I'm even going to have more layers of like why we did that.
I think there's also just the fact that most exorcism movies, one trope is that, you know, Catholic dogma is just treated as sort of Teflon, and, you know, like the church is just treated as this shining castle in the sky that just like is in, you know, unreproachable. And I don't know, as queer people watching queer kids and trans kids be come after by so-called, you know, religious thinkers, I don't know, for us it was just really important to have a dialogue quietly within, you know, the genre about you know, how faith can absolutely be a source of salvation, but also, you know, the people practicing it or the people who claim to be in charge of it can also be weapons.
And in addition to that, I think there's a lot of shame when you're a man to talk about certain things that happen to you. You're not like, you're a guy, this is not supposed to happen to you.
Exactly.
And there's like a terror of
how
like,
it was your fault.
yeah, and I think it's hard for men to talk about that. And I think that was something like, why not talk about that? That's a great thing about doing genre movies. You can kind of sneak in big ideas in sort of a different way, as opposed to making like the movie Doubt or something like that, which are all great movies, but just something that's kind of has a different way to approach it. I think stories can reach people in deeper ways sometimes when you sneak it in.
Yeah.
When it happens, run.